me do it.
Give me your picks, give me your insights. I want the bets from Betting Weekly, because we win, that is our motto. Sometimes we win, sometimes we don't win. Don't give us the bird, don't give us your stink eye. We try our best and we're successful. Come watch our show, Bet River sponsors. It's time to start, enjoy the show.
Welcome along to Betting Weekly Live. You're with Dan Roebuck alongside me, Jack Wright. On the agenda today, we're talking Club World Cup round of 16. Plus, we've got a little bit of Scandi soccer, courtesy of the one and only Steve Wiss. And we've got a special guest, hopefully, a little bit later on in the show. Jack, how are you? Are you enjoying the weather? Obviously, in the UK at the moment, certainly the south of the UK, it is very, very hot. We're not used to it. To all our American friends, gets above sort of 25. The country shuts down. Jack, how are you?
I'm very good, thanks, Dan. How are you? You keeping well?
I'm not too bad, mate. Yeah, I've just had a week in Spain last week, so I enjoyed that.
Nice.
And I was in southern Spain. It was about 38 degrees, so you would have thought I'd be
Lovely.
used to it. But I've come back here and I'm still sweltering. Got the blinds down. And so on.
Yeah.
And
You
that's
look cool
the
and
way it
cozy
is.
in there. I know. It feels like it's been a while, isn't it? It's a bit like kind of back for fitness testing ahead of the Premier League show starting.
This is
again
it.
in a
Yeah,
few
we
weeks, so.
we pulled back in early to do a little bit. So look, we want to know everyone's thoughts on the Club World Cup. We've got a couple of games to preview for you today. Obviously, Manchester City and Inter, both minus money favourites. We'll be taking a look at both of those games. Welcome in, one and all. Tristan says, afternoon all. Medicated says, is this the football stream? Yes, it is. Rick, Duncan, Michael, Ming, Ray, Daniel, I hope you're all keeping well. Tell us your thoughts on today's games. Obviously, this is Monday, so a lot of wagers over the course of the weekend and some really heavy bets. Got the details from our friends at Bet River. Shout out to Troy, as per usual, for giving us the stats here. Interesting one on the United States against Costa Rica, over 2.5 goals on that one, $13,000 play plus, which is a winner. Crazy 2-2 draw, States going through on penalties. And Canada against Guatemala over 1.5, which was a winner as well. Canada crashing out on that, and that was a $12,000 play. We had Revs on the money line against the Rapids in Major League Soccer. That was a loser, $12,000 play. And plenty of money on the Scandinavian soccer as well. Arebro against Calmar, that was a live over 3.5, which was a winner at plus 108, $8,000. Paris Saint-Germain Inter over 4, live Asian total minus 110, a winner, $8,000 as well. And also Flamengo against Bayern over 5.5, which hit. That was a crazy game, plus 1,300. Well done to those, incidentally. And did we have some money for Aldrich at Pot Gita? Is it the young man that won on the PGA Tour to win the Rocket Classic? 130 to 1, Jack. Don't you across that
He
one?
did well. Mate, he did well. He was
first
round. He smashed it, didn't he?
Yeah, I think it was a sort of 5-hole playoff in the end. So well done if you managed to find him. Yeah, it was 100 to 1 to be leading after the first day. As well, Ming says, wonder where you've been. Yes, just a week away, but back fit and firing. Look, we're going to talk the FIFA Club World Cup. It's strange, isn't it, Jack? Because at the start of it, it felt like a sort of old school World Cup. You go back to sort of 78 if you're older like me, and sort of 82, 86. And you don't know the teams, you don't know the players, and it felt like that. You looked at some of the Mexican teams, it was all full of Mexican players and so on and so forth, all around the world. But now we're getting down to the business end. And we look at the sort of futures and you're thinking, well, this could be an all-European semi-final lineup, and it's sort of almost like a summer Champions League. I mean, what do you thought? Have you got involved? Have you got any futures tickets in your back pocket here? City plus 225, Lewis was sweet on those. I like Paris Saint-Germain plus 275 at the start. Real Madrid 5-1, Bayern plus 550. What are your thoughts as we move into the knockout stages? Couple of the round of 16 games done. Anything catch your eye there?
Well, I was on Dortmund to get to the quarterfinals.
Right, okay.
That was my pick on. Still on course, yeah. Needed them to win their group really, which they did, and needed the group that they're up against to go in favour, which it did. So in decent shape for that. That was plus money. That was on the insider. That's still going strong on that one, which is nice. Got a bit worried after that initial first game where they were pretty poor. And yeah, I can't help but be impressed with PSG. I'm with you there, Dan. I think it's still at plus 275. That'd be my favourites to win this. I know City have, swept the board in their group stages, but I just feel that PSG have got gears to go in that other sides haven't quite got at this moment in time. I'd be a fade of Real Madrid. Bayern Munich have got a puncher's chance. But I'd say that top two are worthy favourites, and I'd make PSG marginal favourites ahead of City, and I think they're still a play at that price.
Yeah, they were beaten by Botafogo, weren't they? And I think people were
Yeah.
starting to think, do you know what? Hang on, is this tournament too far for them? Botafogo sacked the coach, didn't they, earlier today or yesterday? That's your reward for beating the European champions. So look, you can get involved in the futures. I know that people think, well, I want a bet right at the start of the tournament and don't get involved again. But if your opinions change, if you've not get involved, and interestingly, when I was looking at the prices earlier today on the Bet Rivers site, we had joint favourites, PSG and Manchester City. So maybe there's just been a little bit of money for City over the course of the day. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. We'll see exactly what happens. SW says, where did those predictions you speak? US says over 2.5 we get. Well, we get all the information from our friends at Bet Rivers. Ming says, Man City looks strong to make at least the final. Yeah, possibly. We shall see. And Troy, you can see there in the comments, there's just a decent amount of bets on. I didn't watch the golf last night. Pot Gita, is it? I'm not sure on the outright. Anywhere from 30 to 130. GI is usually a gi rather than a guy, isn't it?
I thought it was impressive back on that side because he was first round leader. He smashed it, and then he fell away a bit. And I thought sometimes it's hard to be in that position, especially for someone who's not really used to being up there. Fall away, and then he came back strong and came off to win in the playoffs. I was surprised when I saw it this morning. I didn't watch the end of it either, that he actually ended up winning that playoff. My tickets were all ripped up by by tee off on the final round. To be fair, but fair play to him and those who backed him.
Indeed, yeah. Lots of live streams for you as well. Djurgardens against Norrkoping in Sweden is going to be shown, as is Mjällby Malmo. Siska Sofia against Haddock Split, which is a club friendly. You can get involved in that. 1 or 2 club friendlies. Also, the Brann Sandefjord game is going to be shown. And I enlisted the help of Steve Wiss for a couple of plays or leans when it comes to the Djurgardens game and also the Brann game in Norway. Didn't you say you might have something in Sweden, Jack, just before we came on? You don't have to give it now. Did you say?
Well,
yes?
yeah, I haven't got loads of detail on it. I've backed
Right.
I've backed Mjällby to win it.
We'll save that for the Scandi section.
I didn't say anything. Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
let's just hold your horses. Now then,
So excited.
hopefully everybody who is watching has signed up to the newsletter, but I suspect that some might not have. www.bettingweeklystudios.com. The newsletter drops on Monday, and the Betting Weekly Insider arrives on Fridays. Sign up for this, completely free. All of the handicappers get involved. Good weekend for the Insider, Jack. We had 2 winners and a push, I think, didn't we? Did your selection win? Did you just say a few moments ago?
Mine's still in play. Yeah,
you're
so
still in play. Oh, yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, if you want some more picks across various different sports, it's into your inbox every Monday, every Friday. Lots to get involved in when it comes to the newsletter, bettingweeklystudios.com. It is free for everybody. We've got a special guest coming up a little bit later on. Myself and Jack are going to talk our way through the Club World Cup matches today. First of all, the early kickoff is Inter against Fluminense. This is a 3 p.m. kickoff Eastern. And as you can see, Inter are minus 148 favourites here. Flu are plus 425. The tie plus 275. Over on the goals, over 2.5 plus 116. Under minus 150. Both teams to score yes. Plus 105. No is minus 148. The usual suspects to a certain extent when it comes to the goal scorers there. Lautaro Martinez plus 330. Don't think that Marcus Thuram Jack is going to be fit for this one. I don't think he's played at all. Has he yet? So we've got Martinez and the Esposito brothers there, as you can see. And then Alvarado Stum, German Cano, and John Arias. Interesting to see Arias there at plus 380 and slightly bigger than German Cano. What are your general thoughts on this one first up here, Jack? I mean, Inter are favourites. It's been a strange one for them off the back of that Champions League hammering, which we did the live betcast for. I just wondered how they were going to react. Obviously changed their coach. Christian Kiviu's come in with Simone Inzaghi, of course, moving to Al Hilal. And after a slow start, game against Monterrey, didn't watch it, but obviously wasn't great, and a very sort of late dramatic win against Arawa Reds, deserved, before that very fractious game against River, where players and coaches and various were kicking lumps out of each other on the final whistle. What have you made of Inter's journey to the knockout stages?
Yeah, well, I was on just before that first game with Steve, and we were obviously talking about it. And I said that I think they're either going to finish bottom of the group or top of the group, because I don't think there was a middle ground. And I felt it's how they're going to react to that defeat that you didn't talk about in the Champions League final. And I felt that managerial change was probably going to be enough to focus them on getting back to the job. And he obviously would want to start strong. He couldn't. If he was getting knocked out of the group stages and say lost all 3 games or didn't win any, then that's not going to be a great start to his tenure there. So it's kind of gone out as I expected it. And I think that last game was the key one. River was more of a template Kuvu kind of performance, wasn't it? I think we're going to see the lads on the European show tipping up into winning to nil quite regularly over the course of next season.
Yeah.
And I was very tempted to pull the trigger on that for this game. I do think Inter Milan will shade it. I looked at the price just before we come on air, and it seems like there's been a bit of money for Fluminense here. But the win to nil was plus 148. There's a couple of odd reasons why I didn't play that. The main one being really is that I prefer playing Inter Milan to win and on the minus 0.75 Asian handicap, which basically means we profit as long as they win. So the fact that any win gets us some money in the bank for me was enough for me to play that rather than look for something a little bit more exotic. I think if it was a -1, I probably would have played the wins nil with a smaller stake, but I'm happy to go with Inter Milan to win anyway. So a -175. When I pinged it over to you earlier, it was -124. I checked just before we come on live. It's -109 now. So that's an even more appealing price for me to play at. I just think that the dynamic of the tournament is that, thank heavens for South American sides at the start of the tournament, the fan base, how they played, they kind of brought the tournament to life when it could have been a bit drab early doors. I think the European sides that we expected to dominate caught cold a little bit. Probably cold is the wrong word to use given the temperatures over in the States at this moment where they're playing. But I think that break they had between the end of the season and then starting again was impactful. Most of the sides like Dortmund started a bit slow that first game and then have kind of grown into it and are now kind of at that point. I think they've been given a bit of a wake-up call and they know they need to be on their game and they're starting to take the tournament a bit more serious than they maybe did at the start. And they're getting acclimatised in more ways than one.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I mean, I can completely agree with the way that you're looking at Inter for this one. It surprises me a little bit there's been a little bit of money for Flu, but that's the way it is. I mean, it's one of those situations where I think people are looking at the results, and I was looking at some of the expected goals figures from Inter, and they probably should have won all 3 games, really. They were pretty good. Without Thuram, maybe they're missing one of their sort of major foils. But is there
a chance I heard there's a chance he might be fit enough to feature in some respect tonight.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's a miss because, he's a miss. Look, we talked about it. They dovetail really well, Martinez. And Martinez wasn't fit towards the end of the season. But you never know. They might just be clicking into gear at the right minutes. And I don't think they've got everything they've deserved for I mean, you mentioned Kivu and the fact that the boys are probably going to go a lot sort of unders when the Serie A season starts. I mean, I think that's a fairly sort of solid play if you wanted to go relatively short here. I mean, I know it's not the sort of biggest prices, but I don't think you can go too wrong with an unders. -150 is not a price we generally sort of tip, is it really? But no. I just think you look at all the numbers with Kivo at Parma. I mean, 8 of his 13 were under 2.5 when he was at Parma. I know he's got a few more weapons here. But 2 of the 3 Inter games so far in the Club World Cup have gone unders. Flu generally a little bit of an underside as well. I went through the stats since the start of 2024, and you would have made profit back in under 2.5 on Flu games as well. And now we get into the sort of knockout stages. Obviously, Bayern and PSG games aside when they went mad, tend to think that this one might be a little more strategic. I mean, I'm going to play unders. I like Inter
Fluminense,
as
they
well.
don't tend to score many goals, do they? They haven't got a real focal point. Their
No.
top goal scorer in Serie A at the moment is on 3 goals. He's not even playing like regularly in this competition either. So I just feel that, bearing in mind how Inter will set up, we know the manager and that side of things. And as I said, there's been a couple of 0-0s with Fluminense already this tournament. So I think a low score and a fair. If I'm going to pin a correct score out there, I reckon a 2-0 looks a solid play for Inter Milan to just get this job done. The main reason, weird reasons I've never had as a reason before, is the reason I wouldn't have played the win to 0 is simply because of the weather breaks that we've had. And if there's risk of that, obviously when this game's being played, 3 p.m. local time, it's obviously going to be very, very hot. So defenders' concentrations tested. If they do end up going off for a break, which has happened 6-7 times so far this tournament, to then go off for half hour, an hour to come back, we saw it with Chelsea the other night. There's enough doubt in that for me for not to play that, to then go for something a little bit safer. So that's my thinking behind going Asian handicap.
I completely agree with that. It's what those situations. I mean, they bring in too many, known unknowns for bettors. Yeah. When I say known unknowns, we know that they can happen, so they're known, but it's such an odd thing to happen that we don't know how it affects players. We don't know how it affects the rhythm of the game. There's not enough data to take a look at here. And I think you're right. It's just something to be wary of. So on the main sort of markets, Jack's going to play minus 75 on the Asian line. I'm going to play unders of some description. I'll probably end up playing under 2.5. Ming says, I love the analysis of Kiva. I mean, Steve brought it to our attention straight away. Nothing wrong with a minus 150 winner, Dan. Yeah, I'll take that. But Jack, you have pulled out 1 or 2 props as well. One of the players I looked at, and you have sort of included him, I think, in a little bit of a mini parlay here. Talk us through the players that you like for props for this one.
I'm going to be very brief on it. You'll be pleased to know, Dan. You won't believe me, but I will be. John Arias, we were then talking about. Again, I checked the prices just before we come on, and his over 1.5 shots was his main play that I've bet this morning, and it was backable this morning, and now it's just been chipped away at, and it's now minus 205. So absolutely, obviously can't be tipping it. And when I sent those bets over to you this afternoon, I ended up putting a foul with that to get it to minus 114. Check just before I come on. It's now minus 139. So I can't really even vouch playing that. So it's been a lot of money for him. So potentially, look at the other markets, a shot on target, something like that. If you want to play him, he's a guy in good nick, and I think he's got a good matchup against DeMarco. That's why I liked it. There'll be space in behind DeMarco to exploit, which he's done. He's had 2 shots, 4 shots, and 3 shots in his 3 Club World Cup games so far. So he's the guy that I'd be looking at. They'd probably look to try and exploit in behind DeMarco.
Yeah, I looked at him and I thought it was a good bet. And when you put it up, I thought, that's sound. And obviously, you sort of coupled it with the tackles as well, fouls as well. But if it's come in, it's not one you'd play at that sort of price for a little mini parlay.
No, not at minus 139. Like he's had two fouls, 1 foul, and 2 fouls in his 3 games. So he's ticking the boxes in all those things that I did. Put it together at minus 114, I'd certainly play. I wouldn't have gone minus 120. The other side of it is now minus 139, which rules it out. But I like that angle of attack. So if you do want to play a prop in the kind of more attack-minded market, go for that. But I do like the one I've got lined up, which has still held its price.
Which is an Inter player that you like. This one is a plus money prop play.
I do like to try and throw a plus money play in when we do these shows and the Premier League shows as well. And it's Mkhitaryan to commit over 1.5 fouls. It's plus 123. And I think a lot of things stack up for this one. Firstly, the matchup, South American side, it's going to be feisty. It's going to be competitive in the middle of the park. And he seems to be the guy that's kind of stepped up to be that man that's getting involved at this moment in time. His age, obviously, he's not getting any younger. And so with the heat and the conflict that's going to be in there, I think he might struggle a little bit. Those cheap, lazy fouls might come into play. He did quote, didn't he, just recently saying that it's the most tiring season that he's ever had. He's not ready to hang his boots up yet, but he said that he's really felt it this season. Obviously, Inter have gone the distance in every competition, haven't they, and come up empty-handed so far. So the bare stats just support it. He's had 2 starts in this tournament, committed 2 fouls in both those games. He came on in the second half in the other game, committed a foul in that one. And his last 10 competitive starts across all competitions for Inter. He's had 2 or more fouls in 7 of those games. So it kind of stacks up nicely that everything fits into place for him to commit at least 2 fouls in this one at plus money.
Like that. Tristan says, like Inter and under 3.5 goals. Yeah, can't put you off that one at all. That's a little bit of a standard, isn't it? If you like a team and they're a bit short, go for the under 3.5 line just to boost it up a little bit. Hello to Janipi, who's just joined us as well. In terms of where the money's been going for this one, 92% of the money, 81% of the tickets on Inter. Most of the money on over. Some interesting plays as well. $1,800 play on Fluminense over 2.5 total corners at minus 223. $1,450 play on Inter at minus 0.75 on the Asian line. That's Jack's money, obviously. And a $750 play on Fluminense, just straight on the money line at plus 460. The under 2.5 goals market hitting 2 of Inter's 3 games so far, and likewise for Flu games as well. And incidentally, Troy just pinged across some of the futures handle, and Inter with 18.3% of the money are the best backed, which is interesting. We're going to slip down a little bit to get the likes of PSG, just 7.5%, Real Madrid, 8.1% and as well. That's interesting that Inter have been backed here off the back of that season. I'm not quite sure they'll go on and win it. Jeremy says, yeah, like Inter under 3.5 at around plus 120. He's definitely not the worst bet at all. And just on the insider, James had a soccer winner. Paul had a UFC winner. We had one push. Let's talk City Al Hilal. If you are just joining the chat, we have got a special guest coming up in around about sort of 10-15 minutes or so, something like that, after we've finished talking soccer. So stay with us for that. Next up is the Manchester City game. City is short price here, minus 420. Al Hilal 10-1. City have been minus money all 3 of their games. Juve, they're around about minus 140. Obviously, the games against Alain and Wydad, they were shorter still. They've won them all. I think the only team to win all 3 of their group games. Strange, isn't it? Al Hilal was so good, Jack, against Real Madrid. I mean, I don't know about you, but I went mad on them against Salzburg.
I did. Me and you both.
And unfortunately did my money, and then I left them alone against Pachuca when they were just a bit bigger than evens, and they won 2-0.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you... I'm not going to back against City here, and at one stage of the tournament, you're thinking, could Al Hilal be a real sort of nice sort of handicap play here against the big boys? I'm not so sure. What's your sort of general thoughts on City Al Hilal?
Yeah, I'm with you there. I look at it and I just think sometimes you go, well, the traders got this right and they've pitched it right in the spot for them that I don't want to be getting involved in either the money line or the Asian handicaps. We know what Man City have got in the locker. They've got so much strength in depth. They seem to be taking this seriously. I think their recruitment's been sensational so far. Every player they brought in is a player that I really rate and I really like. And they've seemed to have in the past, Pep's kind of kept them out of it. I know this is not kind of Premier League, but you look at the players they brought in, they're seemingly oven ready to go into this side to show that last season was a blip and they're going to go strong this season. And I think that starts in this tournament. He's already talking up about the possibilities of how it's going to impact them in the Premier League. I know. Yeah, I think they're well up for this one, and so I make them that they'll win it. I'm kind of siding on the fact that I think there might be under goals, but I also thought that against when they played Juventus. So I got that one very, very wrong. I'll be brutally honest. But you look at Al Hilal, really solid defensively. They've got a couple of really good defensive-minded players, a solid goalkeeper in there as well. And they're struggling up front. Lost Mitrovic, and they've also got injuries, haven't they?
Aldasari's out as well. And he was a player that I thought might be a real good prop to have a shot. I mean, he's still listed as something like plus 120, I think, just to have a shot, but he's got a hamstring problem. He's their captain, plays the left wing, which might be an interesting in against Nunes, but he's not going to play. I mean, I sort of went through 1 or 2 stats and then just checked on the team news and he's out. So, do you know what? It's a weird one because I thought immediately I was going to look sort of both teams to score yes, which I think is about minus 150. Last time I looked, you're minus 157, both teams to score. Yes, I'm slightly concerned about the firepower of Al Hilal. I mean, Leonardo and Malcolm, 2 Brazilians who might strike. Milinkovic Savic has looked good all season, in fact, for Saudi, if you in the Saudi Pro League, if you followed it, plus 510. So, I still think City, if they throw caution to the wind a little bit like they did against Juventus, that might hit. but I think City will. I mean, Al Hilal's XG 1.88, 1.41, 1.84 from their 3 games. They only scored 3, so it's a tiny sample size, but any sort of regression would see them maybe score. I won't put anyone off both teams to score. Yes, you try to get a little bit sort of, try and squeeze in a little bit more value. City to win, both teams to score, yes, plus 130. But you are more of a sort of, I know you've got, I don't know if we call these official plays on the live show. I mean, you're looking at an unders play, aren't you, on the Asian total, Jack?
Yeah, my bottom line here is that I think the traders have got the main line markets right, so I wouldn't make them official plays. Obviously, we want to give our opinions on those, so I've gone with under 3.75 goals in here, which means there need to be 5 goals for this to be a full loss. You obviously, if there's 4, you get a half stake refunded. It's minus 141, so again, it's on the edge for me, probably over it. But I just feel that this is now knockout soccer, and we saw it, Pep, they kind of went for it against Juventus and it was a bit carnage. Doesn't really need to be that way here. And I've got that in my head that this is obviously kicking off in the evening in the States, isn't it?
Yeah.
So a little bit cooler. We haven't got that to worry too much about it. The strength in depth, I think City have got, and a great point by Duncan. I totally agree. If Rodri is starting this one, that just makes City a completely different animal. And we go back to that more controlled, measured side that can dictate the tempo, keep complete control of the ball. And I think that will be the way they'll go about it, that if they can get their noses in front in this one, they've started really strongly in all their games so far. I can see them doing the City of old, really, and just passing this one to death until the final whistle goes, take the win, move on to the next stage. There's no extra prizes for winning this 3, 4, 5-0, is there, or whatever, or leaving the back door open. So I think it could be a lot tighter. I like the under in this one. You look at Inzaghi, he's obviously been given Pep lots and lots of praise in the build up to this one as well. They've met a couple of times. They met in the Champions League last season. That was 0-0, wasn't it, when he was in charge of Inter? And they met once before, and I think that was 1-0 as well. So kind of, though, I think sometimes when you've got a manager with utmost respect for a manager and has got the tools to be able to keep it tight, I think that possibly will be the way it goes. That's how I would see it. So I'd be on the more of the nose and the unders than anything else in this one personally.
Look, I mean, I was sort of spinning Al Dessari as a bit of a difference maker, maybe just in terms of Al Hilal. This might be more of a sort of City versus Wydad game, which was a 2-0 City success. It might be that type of thing. It all depends on how City are going to approach it and what sort of... I mean, as Duncan says, Rodri is a difference maker. Incidentally, Jolo Adji says Inter double chance and under 2.5. I like that for an even money play. That is a really sort of clever way to go about it, I think. Gracia says Jack Grealish is the mystery guest. Not like he's doing anything else at the moment. You never know.
He just missed out on selection. We've got something better than that.
Philly Guy says, one of the worst tennis bets I've ever had. I've had over 38.5 in the Borges Serendula game. Just needed... Tennis show comes up a little bit later. You know, if you want to stick around for the tennis, it comes up a little bit later, Philly Guy. And you can have your fill of tennis chat. Philly Guy's, he's ranting a little bit here. Yeah. It just happened 5 minutes ago and I'm sitting here steaming. Listen, we've all been there. I mean, I was driving Steve and Will White absolutely mad about Auckland. And I had significant funds on Boca on all sorts of handicaps, and they drew 1-1. It happens to us all, Philly guys. You know, it's the way it goes.
That game was a nightmare because of what we talked about with the suspension. Is the fact that that game obvly they kicked off at the same time to avoid, didn't they? And it's like once they restarted, you knew that one was dead in the water. It
was a slow and painful situation. So sort of unders is a little bit of a field bet, under 3.75. I like the fact that 5 goals is the only way you can lose all your money. I really like that because 5 all it's a big score, isn't it? You've got a couple of props for us as well, Jack, on this one. What do you like for those what get involved in some props?
Yeah, my second one I put in just because I really like the bet, but also in case we need to fill a bit of time, then we've got about £1,000 we can use on this.
This is all killer, no filler. Go on, keep going.
It's Bono is my play here, and it's obviously Al Hilal's goalkeeper. Yeah, another plus money play over 4.5 saves.
Sounds like you found what you're looking for.
Oh, yeah, absolutely
Well,
right.
you're setting them
Uh,
up.
Mate, I know. I'm just going to hope it's a beautiful day. So,
Hey,
yeah,
Alec.
mate, I'm playing this one with or without you, so I don't mind. Anyway, I was going to resist. But like, there you are. You fed it. But,
Oh,
you've
dear.
built up my desire. What can
Come
I
on,
say? Anyway, right.
come on,
Enough of
tell us
that.
why.
Well, although I fancy unders, I think the City will get plenty of chances. It seems to be the way with when you look at how Al Hilal have played in this tournament. They've only conceded one goal, but they have conceded a hell of a lot of chances or shots certainly. And Bono has kept the majority of them out, as we've said. So City will dominate the ball. City have got tremendous firepower and strength in depth. And the bare stats of it would suggest when you look that other than the game against Pacheco, we had 2 saves. 5 saves against Salzburg, 6 saves against Real Madrid, and we need 5 or more in this one for this to cash at plus money. I just think that's a really good way in to get with City
Yeah.
and their domination and having a fair amount of shots. Again, because this is later in the day, this is going to be an evening kickoff, that appeals to me more because of the fact it's more of a normal temperature as far as City are going to be playing in here. It's not going to be the fatigue and stuff. So I think that all sits well with how we see the game kind of panning out. And the fact that he'll get plenty of opportunities to hit this for us, and I say it's hit in 2 of his 3 group games so far in this tournament. So that's a nice play for me.
Yeah, even money shot, and you've also got a player for Al Hilal that could be worth following in the shots market.
Yeah, based on what we were talking about as far as missing their strikers and also potentially, say, the captain and the creative outlet and the guy that we probably thought might be a edge, I think they might well be getting to that possibly sort of desperate stage. I think the guy I'm looking at is Milinkovic-Savic to have over 1.5 shots. Again, he's a player who does like to pull the trigger. And so I think he'll be in that position where he's in and around the box, and he'll, if Al Hilal we expect to find it tough to break City down, then they will be looking for picking those scraps up or having those chances from distance. So again, he's had 7 shots so far in the competition. Only missed this line once. He had 4 and 2 in his other games as well. 2+ in 12 of his last 14 competitive starts across all competitions. So a player that likes to get involved. And again, at -108, I think that's a nice price just to have 2 shots, which can end up anywhere.
We'll recap Jack's bets for you short. We've got a special guest coming up in just a few seconds, just before we get to our special guest of the day. Just a quick chat on the Scandi Soccer, because I text Steve earlier today. I said, you got anything for us? I said, what about the Brann Sandefjord game? Brann are very short price favourites here. I had a look at 1 or 2 stats here. It's 3rd versus 6th, but in terms of the 6-match form tables, it's 7th versus 3rd. And Steve, his words, says this is the best Sandefjord side there's been in the Elitserien in my lifetime. Got some very good, strong fullbacks. Brann could be buoyed, though, by a shock defeat of Werder Glimt yesterday. Could be really up for it. That means that potentially maybe on the Asian line you can get Sandefjord +1 at -122, which is the way that I play it, sort of reading in between the lines from Steve's place here. The head-to-head, there's not a lot to choose between them. And generally, when Brann do win, they only win by a goal. So I'm going to play -122 on the +1 line there. And he also gave me a bet in Sweden. Djurgardens versus Norrkoping. I haven't got a graphic for this one, but the player that he likes is Tobias Gulliksen, +195 to score at any time. So Tobias Gulliksen +195 to score at any time. The favourite for the market is Tokmak Win at +140, but Steve's reckoned that Gulliksen is a player that really likes. Plus, he really likes scorer assist, but that's not market's not available. Score any time +195 when it comes to the Swedish game a little bit later on. A lot of these are streamed live as well. And just a reminder, when it comes to the Insider, you've got to sign up, bettingweeklystudios.com. Just whack your email address in there. We're closing in on 10,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel. We're 9,720 or so at the moment. That's how we push our content everywhere else, and you get more for us. So make sure you sign up for that. Now, in the next few seconds, hopefully, we're going to join our special guest.
Here it is, a phone
Oh,
shot to transform.
Simon Holden's on.
Just a little skip for golden amount of me above that dance. Well, basically, it gotta be a little bit out of control to see move in the summertime. How you doing, boys?
Wow. Look at this.
Look at this. I tell you what, Nigel, you've either been on holiday or you've been in the back garden for the last 2 days.
Listen, I was listening to that U2 stuff, and I know about that Bono. I wouldn't be betting against him. He's got a bit of pride, that bloke. He's got a bit of pride. You know?
Yes. Even Ray's getting involved. Look at that. You two know your stats. Go on, Ray. Get in, son.
Here we go.
Matt says, "Oh my God, it's Brad Pitt." Who said you look
No,
like Brad Pitt?
I don't know. I've told Paul of this. I've done a screenshot and sent it all to the family. Nobody else agrees with that, Matt, apart from me. But I do as well. But obviously, there you go. How are you? You all right, guys?
Yeah, we're all good. We're all good. Now, the reason we've got Nigel on the show is that it is day one of Wimbledon today. Anyone who's been across our continent over the course of the last, 4 or 5 days, I mean, the draw was unbelievable. It's still being watched now, 4,500 views and counting. Great selections when it comes to the preview shows from yourself, from Rory, from Sean, and much more to come, Nigel, because, I mean, this is, the next 2 weeks. And I always think the first week, for proper tennis bettors, big liquidity, all the matches priced up, a lot of different markets as well. For a tennis bettor, must be manna from heaven.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, people come into this channel for the first time watching Wimbledon, and then obviously they go on to watch these shows and watch the other shows. And obviously, Wimbledon is the pinnacle of the tennis betting. So for the 2 weeks, it's probably one of my busiest periods of the year. Still can get in the garden though, top the town up. But it's a busy period of time. And obviously the show, what we do here, our tennis content is quite good. So we obviously do a lot of stuff in tennis. Bet Rivers are very, very strong on their tennis product, and that's what we like to pursue. So I come on here, obviously with the shows have been brilliant, but in an hour and a half time, we'll be on Betting Weekly Tennis Live with myself and Mitch Michaels, looking ahead to the in-play. Now the in-play today has been fascinating. Carlos Alcaraz is in an absolutely massive battle now against Fabio Fognini. It is 1-set when it's 5-5 in the final set. So when you look about these pre-matches, in-play actually takes more money, lots and lots more money than the actual match itself. And hopefully this match will continue when we come on live at 6 o'clock. We've also had some shocks today. The weather in London is absolutely roasting, as you all know, or across the UK is roasting, as you all know. And we've seen a lot of people who've come in, a lot of big players come into this tournament today who haven't got the conditioning. They've come here, they're not fit, and they're getting beat. And, today and tomorrow is going to be extremely hot. In-running opportunities are going to be absolutely huge with Bet Rivers. And, this is the time to capitalise. When the weather is so hot, players, they're having problems. And I think, later on tonight, that heat's going to continue out through the evening. So we'll have everything covered for you on Betting Weekly Live in 6 o'clock local time here in the UK, 1 o'clock Eastern time, myself and Mitch Michaels. And I come on really to do a plea. Watch the show. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. As I said, we are under strict instructions to make sure we can get 10,000 subscribers during Wimbledon. That is the target. And the last couple of days has been sensational. And with your help, all the people watching this show, hit the subscribe button and we can do it.
Just one quick question before I just want to wrap up with Jack and his best bets on the soccer. What is the schedule then for the tennis? Obviously, we've got the live shows today, tomorrow and Wednesday. What about picks from yourself, from Sean later on in the week, going into the weekend? How's it going to work? What are people got to look out for? Is it Instagram? Is it the Insider? What are you going to do?
We have Betting Weekly Tennis Live every day, Monday through to Wednesday. Two of the the tennis handicapping team will be live on that show, giving you all the in-play. Myself and Sean will be back tomorrow and Wednesday, and we're going to do shows later on in the week. Sean doesn't know that yet, so whether we can get over the line, we'll have to wait and see whether he's going to. We have contract disputes if he gets involved in 5 matches. We'll have to talk about that. And then obviously later on in the week we have shows as well. Next week, when the business end to the tournament gets going, we will have loads and loads of tennis content. So Wimbledon is here, loads and loads of action, lots of content. But really, come on, 6 o'clock, same kind of vibe as this. Looking through the in-play action and giving all the bets. A lot of people come on to this. This is their 2 weeks they bet on tennis. Yeah. And hopefully they come and watch the show, realise that tennis does happen on 49 other weeks of the year apart from these 2 weeks. So hopefully we cash some tickets together as well.
Meninda says, will we be safe from the singing on the tennis show?
No. I'm going to sing some more songs. I'll be.
And Duncan says
Carlos
we'll be
Alcaraz living the Viva Loca. We're doing a bit of that.
Duncan says we'll be safe from the shirt. Is this like dress rehearsals? You'll put your proper gear on in a bit.
The only person who commented on my shirt said it was a nice shirt today was Simon Holden. So I don't know if that's. I don't know if it's. I mean,
tells its own story.
As soon as I come on there, Gratzer said I'm off. Don't know what's
I know he did, but he's back on.
But then he's come back and said, "Well done, Nigel," and he's commented as well.
Cree's joining us, gentlemen. Hello, Cree. You're gonna have to get to the tennis show because we're wrapping things up. Just before we wrap up, then Jack, best bets of the day. Just rapidly talk you through the plays for the 2 games in the Club World Cup.
It'd have to be Inter Milan. I think for me, especially now the price is even better for me. So -109 on the Asian handicap, -0.75 on that one. That would be my best bet in that. And I've got to go with Bono, and I for the best bet in the other game. So the City game. So yeah.
I still haven't found what I'm looking for.
No, we already did that one.
We done that.
We've
done that one.
That's already done. Nigel's going to be back. Who's your guest for the tennis show, Nigel?
It's me and Mitch Michaels, the host with the most. We always like Tim Dennis on the tennis, but obviously we've got Mitch Michaels today. But Mitch
only because it rhymes.
Mitch is.
I'll tell you what Nigel hasn't found: the top 3 buttons on that shirt. That's what he ain't found.
It's hot. I'm boiling. I'm sweating.
Hey, medallion man's here. Come on, Tom Jones.
Steve Beaton. If I grew a moustache, it'd be Steve Beaton. Steve Beaton.
Oh, more like Mr. Menino says, what was Steve's pick? Steve's, I will tell you before we go. Steve liked his particular play was Gullikson, score any time. It's only a lean in the Djurgardens Norrkoping game, and he's suggesting maybe Sandefjord. I'm putting words into his mouth here on the Asian lineup. +1 Asian line at -122 away at Brann. Fiddy Guy says, what was the City play again, Jack? What was the City play? Bono. That was the
Bono
game.
over
that was
4.5
the
saves. Yeah.
To be fair, though, guys, I haven't
He's
been following. I haven't been following the Club World Cup really. You know, but I've been watching the shows here, and the boys have been absolutely on fire. Yeah. Brilliant content here. Obviously, the tennis boys are stepping up to levels. Well, the channel is hitting massive heights, and obviously the community that we build up here, everyone involved, it makes it so much worthwhile. But the guys have been smashing it. Brilliant content on the Club World Cup. I got up my level when I come on a Thursday. I only even watched one match, so I might have to do some. I might have to ask Jack to come and give me some notes.
Just speaking of content, it's Doug and Chris on Hardball today, and Doug and Wes on Fast Break. That's a little bit later on. Plenty of plugs for that shortly. Lewis, you're going to have to stick with Nigel for the tennis show. Lewis has been on since Bono over 4.5 saves. Oh, so yeah, sorry. Yeah, that's correct. I thought we were talking about the tennis then. It's the football, isn't it? Yeah. Right, that is your lot from myself and Jack. Nigel is on duty a little bit later on. Make sure you sign up to Betting Weekly newsletter, bettingweeklystudios.com. From Nigel, from Jack. Have I got the right way around? That's Jack. That's Nigel.
Yeah, I know we're very similar. We do look like
very similar. Very similar.
That is your lot. Nigel will be back in just over an hour. We'll speak soon.